Cassian Andor is one of the most misunderstood characters. Or it's just for those 10 people online that make them feel like 100. My goal here is to try and interpret Cassian's character through Andor Season 1. But let's talk about Rogue One first. Many believe Cassian starts out as a grey character because he killed his own informant. Cassian wanted to save his friend. The guy has an injured arm. Cassian still asks him if he can climb. The guy says no. He panics and makes it clear that this guy is physically and mentally incapable of the task. Soon he'll get caught and give away information billions of lives depend on. And that's why Cassian kills him. This doesn't make him morally grey. What would a good person do? Let him be caught alive? Risk saving billions of people? How's that morally good? He only seems morally grey because morally good characters usually get better choices. Cassian does not. He doesn't have the force or any other superhuman ability that he can defeat all his enemy and save everyone. He also shot another rebel. That guy was about to throw a bomb where Jin was hiding. Again, what would a good person do? Let Jin get blown apart? Risk billions of lives? If it was a cliched and unrealistic action scene, it would have Cassian run unrealistically fast, grab Jin, and both of them would run out of the blast radius, all before the bomb could even hit the ground. This is how a poorly written scene avoids moral dilemma. Cassian is not going around killing people. He's solving one trolley problem after another. And then he spares Galen. Many interpret this as his character arc. To me, character arc is the change in character's inner value system. Does Cassian change internally? Many believe he used to be a heartless person who would kill anyone for his convenience, but after meeting Jin, he turned into someone who values life, and that's why he spares Galen. So had they survived Scarif, and Cassian meets another informant who could potentially give away information so many lives depend on, he would let the informant go? He'd risk those lives rather than killing the informant? No, that's illogical. Okay, forget the informant. He did intend to kill Gillen, but then he defies his order. I would still argue this isn't an arc. A character can change his decisions after learning a new information. If that information doesn't change his inner value system but appeals to them, it's not a character arc. Cassian was ordered to kill a guy who's building the Death Star. But now he knows through Jin and Bodhi that Gillen is trying to take it down. Now it's not just wrong to kill him, it's counterproductive for the rebellion. Cassian values following orders a lot, but not more than the rebellion itself. If following orders was more important to him, he could be a soldier on the stronger side that is in power. Why is he risking his life for the rebellion and lecturing Jen about rebellion and hope? The reason rebels like Cassian aren't just stormtroopers because they chose to fight against tyranny. They follow order and sometimes get their hands dirty for the greater good. Now he was struggling till the last minute to take an action because these two things that he values are in odds with each other. But in the end, he chose according to what he values more. It didn't require an inner change. The guy who can do terrible things for the rebellion can disobey orders for it as well. A character arc isn't always essential. A character can go through emotional challenges without changing internally. But where we do see character arc is in Andor Season 1. You want to know more? Okay, let me tell you. Let's go back 5 years. Cassian is in a rush, hiding under a hoodie. Turning back to see if someone saw him is like a habit or bad habit at this point. He tries to charm his way into getting information. When he fails, he cuts the act and gives away that he's looking for his sister. He tries to stay low, but he fails as he made two corpos jealous already. He tries not to engage, but as they keep annoying him, he glares back, like this is nothing new. Though he wouldn't want to start a fight, he knows he can more than handle these two idiots. Later they figure it out too. Cassian fights strategically and defeats them. Initially he seems to be enjoying the victory, the adrenaline rush. He teases them to dare tell him what to do. But unfortunately one of them dies, probably sustaining a fatal injury from the fall. Then he shoots the other asshole who just started to beg for his life. In a universe where throwing a stone at an imperial parade will cost you your life, what would anyone else do? Majority of the people will pull the trigger if they have the guts. The difference between the majority and Cassian is that they won't have a sound sleep the next day. They'd have a harder time to justify all this, but Cassian easily forgives himself and moves on. While sleeping, Cassian dreams about his birthplace Canary. We see him and his sister in a tribe of only kids and teenagers. Something happened to all their parents. Then B2 Cassian's old, sweet, needy, friendly droid, wakes him up. Cassian asks B2 if anyone was looking for him and who said what about him. He also told B not to give away information about Cassian. Lie if he has to. He tries to lay low in his hometown as well. Remember Belle wore something unique which helps her stand out? Cassian wears muted colored jackets that help him fade away between the brick walls and steel structures. He immediately starts making arrangements of covering his tracks. Not his first time, huh? He makes an alibi, sets up a business deal, changes chip logs, and we meet a bunch of new characters. Unlike Cassian, Brasso is responsible, hardworking, has a stable job. Any mother would be proud to have a son like him. Biggs, Cassian's ex, is also busy with her regular job, has things going for her, unlike Cassian. Biggs is so disappointed at Cassian that she chose someone who couldn't be any further. Unlike Cassian, Tim is not that sharp. He's obsessed with Biggs, he would do anything for her, but Cassian isn't interested to know what Biggs has to say about Tim or anyone. He needs a favor from her to bring in her buyer, but he's not willing to share any of his sale. The difference between Cassian and these characters and their relationship shows how Cassian doesn't really fit in, nor does he try to. So far, Cassian seems like a selfish jerk. He kills someone who's begging for his life. He takes off every now and then, leaving his duty as a son on Brasso. He wasn't a good boyfriend. He hangs out with people of low characters, too many women, and even someone else's wife, as Biggs suggested, sarcastically. He runs on loans, deals, favors, then lies, talks his way out of paying back, and disappears. And he always had the Star Path unit valuable enough to pay all his debts, by the way. When Archie tries to pressure Cassian to get his money back, Cassian uses the strong sense of companionship among their community as a shield. Maybe he uses his mother's reputation as a respectable member of Ferrix too. At least he knows no one would dare to bother her for the money he took. He also tells everyone that he's happy to see them. No, he's not. He wasn't even done rolling his eyes before he put a fake smile on his face seeing Narchi. Now he has almost burned all his bridges, and deservingly so. This series doesn't hesitate to show many unlikable sides of Cassian, but his likable traits are also sprinkled throughout the show. After all these years, Cassian is still trying to find his sister. He cares about Marva and B2. Hearing what Marva has to say about him upsets him because he didn't mean to be a disappointment. He would like to make her proud one day. He hasn't figured out how yet. He must have done something right to be able to keep friends like Biggs and Brasso by his side. When he thinks B2 is suggesting Biggs ratted him out, he jumps to defend her like he really cares. He and his mother Marva got into a very realistic family feud when they accused each other of giving away information about Cassian's birthplace. This scene reveals Cassian is, or once used to be, quite chatty. Cause he opened up and revealed his past to a number of people he can't even keep a track of. Probably learned that from his mother, who also told a lot of people. Maybe in a perfect world, Cassian would be friendly and sweet and charming, and not the scum he is now. In episode 3, Luton, a rebel scout, arrives. Just like me, he's trying to figure out Cassian. He knows Cassian has so much potential. He can fight, steal from the Empire, has steady nerves, has good aims, he can lie, talks his way out of trouble. He already makes a good team with Luton. They're already saving each other. It was Cassian's idea to send a decoy out with slap chargers, and he almost got away with the murder if this one guy didn't take his job too seriously. Whatever he lacks can be taught to him easily. One of the contrasts between Luton and Cassian was that Luton was willing to kill Cyril, but Cassian was not. Luton will kill anyone who poses a small possibility of danger. Cassian still needs a bigger reason or a higher risk factor. The episode cuts back and forward between the present day, Cassian leaving with Luton, And years ago, Cassian's flight out of Canary when he was saved by Marva. Maybe it's not just a parallel shot, maybe Cassian is remembering this day and wondering if this is how his life will always be, migrating from one place to another and never really belonging anywhere. Maybe he's also thinking about Marva and how she always puts his safety before everyone else's, ever since they met. And he knows she feels the same way today. She prefers to see him escape, even if it puts Ferrix in danger. Luton offers Cassian everything he wants, or a person like Cassian who lived his life should want, and that is to put a real stake in the eye of the Empire. Luton knows his best origin is a lie. The heroic story that Cassian told about fighting in Mimban for 2 years is also a lie. He was the only one to survive because he ran after fighting only for 6 months. The only thing that is real is his hatred for the Empire. He hates them for executing his father for no reason, for throwing him in the prison for 3 years, for making him go to Mimban and fight among themselves. But Cassian figured out one weakness they have. It's their hubris. They are so fat and satisfied that they can't imagine someone like Cassian can just walk in and steal from the Empire. And that's how he's been getting back at them, because that's all he can do. And so Luton assumes Cassian would gladly take his offer. But to Luton's surprise, my surprise, and probably your surprise, Cassian says no. He's like, it's an impressive research you did, even caught my lies, but you still don't know me. To Cassian, all the rebellion activities are completely useless at best. They'll never be able to take down the Empire. Cassian can casually steal from them, but that's until it's small enough to keep under the radar. Unlike something the rebels have in mind, he knows how much a rebel has to sacrifice. But that will go in vain. So it's not just about stealing trinkets and spitting in their food. It's about being logical and living with the little bit of freedom he has. There was a time when he would join a gang, follow a leader he looked up to. There was a time when death of a close person would fill him up with rage and guilt. He'd charge forward without the fear of consequences. But now he's tired of losing. If he didn't go into the ship just to put out his rage, he'd still be with his sister. If that one guy didn't throw a stone at the parade, Cassian's father Clem would still be alive. If he didn't charge at the troopers, he wouldn't be thrown into the prison. He'd stay with Marva when she needed him the most. To him, the rebellion activities are useless at best, and at worst, they make things worse for everyone. Luton now gives him an offer he can't refuse. If Cassian can risk his life for a box worth 40,000 credits, he can sure work with the rebels for 200,000. But when Luton gets busy, Cassian starts thinking about stealing Luton's ship. Or not. It's a good money, but he doesn't want to be here. He doesn't trust the rebels. They probably have some crazy plan like 7 people against the garrison, and he doubts if he'll survive. But then, the fake name he picks for this mission is Clem, name of his late father. Though he wanted out, there's a part of Cassian that wants to do this mission for his father. His main goal is still money and survival though. Bell tells him about the eviction of Aldani. Cassian's first assumption was that they were all murdered. Is that what happened to the parents? In Canary? Either way, he could feel their pain. Rebels weren't happy seeing Cassian. Cassian wasn't smiling either. Not like that would help, but he does try to ease the tension. When Lieutenant Gorn was concerned over having to trust a stranger, Cassian tells him he too knows this feeling. He tries to relate to Skeen as they both discovered they both were prisoners once. He asks questions till he finds his answers. He listens to Nemik with eager and flirts with Cinta. Okay, that didn't go well. Some say Cassian is a passive character. Why? A passive character is someone who lets things happen to them rather than do things themselves. There's a difference between allowing things happen and having no choice but to follow along for now, because that's a compelling character journey on its own. Otherwise, you can bring the most active character and make them passive by only putting them in severe situations. Once again, it's about what choices the character has. When Cassian figures out they can't get the freight off the runway, he waits no second to rub it on their faces that they would be doomed without him. He then demands to fly the plane, cause he won't let their lack of experience decide his fate. Belle at first disagrees, but in the end she has no choice but to listen to him. He picks up on small details, like Skeen is left-handed, and he advises Tarman to switch sides. Tarman doesn't like it, but he knows Cassian is right. He too has no choice but to listen to him. He warns Tarman, "Don't manhandle me, you don't even know how to do a custom job, guy, you." Okay, he didn't say that, but you got the point. I bet Tarman found more reasons to respect him that day. When Skeen finds the Skyver crystal, Cassian makes the decision of coming forward with the truth. He makes it clear if being a mercenary makes him unworthy despite the skill set he offers, which they really need, he'll walk away. Good luck. He figured out their mindsets and he used the right words they needed to hear. He turns the table around and asks them if they're all the way in or not. If he was a passive character, he wouldn't initiate any question or engage in conversations. Everything he would need to know would be told to him through exposition dumps. It would be Vel's own idea that Cassian will fly the plane. He will let Tarman manhandle him, helplessly watch Skeen go through his stuff. Cinta herself will flirt with him. That won't go well either. He'd even drink the entire dray milk instead of throwing it away. Multiple times throughout the show, Cassian uses his wits, finds a way out of difficult situation and gets him and other people around him out of there. Does this look being passive to you? When Skeen says they don't know who Cassian is, he objects. "You know exactly who I am." And that's true. Cassian never tried to persuade them with fake smiles or manipulative words. He lies about some details, but he never faked a personality. When Skeen tells Cassian about his brother, Cassian didn't cash in on it. "Oh, I too lost my sibling." No, he simply asked about Skeen's brother, like he cares more than it initially shows. Next morning, Nemik lets Cassian know he couldn't sleep whole night, though he has faith. And he's confused how does Cassian sleep when he has nothing. Cassian doesn't like this remark. He somewhat regards a mercenary like Cassian as a weapon, or an extension of a weapon. Cassian doesn't like that either. If Cassian was just a weapon, the Imperials could have bought him as well. But that's the last thing he'll ever do. Struggling to understand Cassian's neutral stance, Namek asks, "So the rebellion is useless, and we should all submit and be thankful." Cassian hates that remark. He looks Namek in the eyes and says, "Do I look thankful?" What a rebellious kid like Namek may not know is that people like Cassian are submissive only externally. It's one of the many compromises they make to live peacefully. Well, as peaceful it can get. It's nowhere near what he wants, but he's not betting his life on the odd chance the rebellion has. Maybe I'm being cynical, but when Cassian tells Namek you'll sleep after the heist, he expresses his doubt that Namek will make it. He'll sleep one way or the other. But Namek proved his worth during the heist. He not only saved Cassian, he navigated the ship out of the eye with his spine crushed. Cassian was doubtful at first, but he eventually gave in and followed his instructions. Though initially Cassian seemed to have no concerns for Namek, he chose to stop at the doctor's. While Vel is with Namek, Skeen chats with Cassian. The second Cassian realizes Skeen's intention to betray his friends, he sits up straight and in a very subtle way brings his hands closer to his gun. He was ready to shoot Skeen. He thinks fast. Traitor, danger, I probably should kill him. But he doesn't shoot immediately. He lets the conversation go on. Maybe he was waiting for Skeen to look away, or maybe he was looking for some reason not to shoot. And when Skeen reveals he doesn't even have a brother, he kills him. Cassian is here for the money. He doesn't seem to care about anyone else. So he must be just like Skeen. He'd climb over others to climb out of his hell. Skeen has joined the list of people who tried to put Cassian in a box or predict what he's going to do and failed. The Corpus thought he'll submit. Vel thought he'll betray. Luton thought he'll immediately join the rebellion. Skeen thought he will sacrifice his team for 40 million credits. I doubt Cassian's decision to shoot Skeen was only to save himself. After shooting Skeen, he immediately looks around if anyone saw him. If Vel sees this, not knowing the context, what's stopping her from shooting Cassian? It would be safer for Cassian to hold Skeen at gunpoint, call out Vel, tell her what's up, take his cut and fly away, leaving it on Vel's shoulder to deal with Skeen if she ever believes what Cassian has to say before it's too late. Skeen was a bigger threat to Namek and Vel as they trust him. Cassian had to kill Skeen himself to protect them. Even after the heist is over, Cassian is still looking after his team. He returns to Ferrix to take Marva and B2 out of here. Whatever happens to Ferrix, thanks to him, is not his problem anymore. Cassian looks very happy. He always refers Marva by her name, so it feels different when he says everything's gonna be different now, Ma. Like he knows he won as a son. Mother must be very proud. And maybe she is, but not as proud as she is of the rebels in Aldani. Cassian then goes to see Bix. He climbed down her walls like he used to long time ago despite her father's warning. Probably wanted to take Bix with them. Though it's just been a week since Team died. But things didn't go as romantic. Bix warns him about the troopers. But Cassian believes he's untouchable here. Bix breaks it to him. Everyone now hates him. Anyone can turn him in. Cassian is shocked. He fails to take responsibility and blames Tim. But Bix disagrees. She reminds him how he always took advantage of the people of Ferrix, and in the end, he used Ferrix as a shield and left everyone to suffer for his mess. He clearly feels hurt. He returns what he owes everyone and tells her she, her buyer friend, and everyone has to forget about him. Seeing some stormtroopers, Cassian remembers the day his father was accused of throwing a stone at an Imperial march, but he was trying to stop someone else from doing that. The Imperials then hung him by the Rix Road. That explains why he's so careful about helping someone else. And then he learns Marva isn't leaving. Inspired by the rebels in Aldani, she'll stay and fight. Let her fight be as small as trying to open the tunnel's gate for the rebellions to sneak in, or putting her best coat on and walk on the Rix Road which she's been avoiding for years. Anything's better than running away. She still wants Cassian to find peace. Cassian finds a nice place and a nice lady, but he doesn't find peace. He's worried about Marva. But that's just love. Nothing he can do about that. He still has the manifesto. It seems like the heists changed his outlook on the rebellion, but he still thinks nothing can be done about that either. This is his best shot at happiness, yet he's not happy. At least he's out of the chokehold of the Empire. Out of nowhere, Cassian gets arrested. Some say Cassian was nervous, fumbled his interrogation. Others say it was for nothing. I don't think he fumbled his answers. But he showed interest to figure out what is happening, in contrast to everyone else who didn't even bother to do that. Was that enough to draw a suspicion? No, but I believe these troopers are filling in prison quotas. Cassian slightly stands out and maybe matches the race profile, I guess. And so the shore trooper made him his arrest of the day. He walks up to the judge with his friendly smile and gets sentenced to 6 years. He tries to find out about the prison and gets strongly denied. The more he knows, the more terrifying it gets. He gets electrocuted twice, once as a demonstration and second as a punishment for the performance of his team. All this is too much to take in for Cassian. He starts zoning out. He can't keep up with the conversations. At the end of the day, he's completely broken. How did all this happen? He made money. He came to a rich people's place. He's a tourist. He wasn't doing anything shady. How did he end up here as a slave, left to suffer invisibly? They're literally invisible by design. Then he notices something. He snaps out of his 1,000-yard stares. He notices his teammate is communicating with someone on the other side of the building. Seeing what ordinary people are capable of, even in such dire situations, he gains some momentum. He's reminded what he needs to do now. In 30 days, it seems he's turned into a cog in the machine. But he also started to make plans, discuss them with a new friend, cut the water pipe little by little, switch to a convenient position, and piss off Kino every now and then. He even acts out small anti-authoritarian behaviors like getting off the floor at the last second or put the least amount of effort on program after this guy. He won't allow himself to lose into their system like Kino has for even a second. Cassian notices the lack of guards in this place. He wants to exploit that weakness. He asks Kino for information, but Kino is reluctant to help. To mitigate his fears, Cassian assures they're not listening. They have domesticated all the prisoners by turning the floor twice a day. Now they are so fat and satisfied that they can't even imagine someone like Cassian can break out. But Kino doesn't want to take any chances. Why would he? He can eat, sleep, live, and all of them will be free after they serve their sentences. But one day that hope shatters. Kino and Cassian finds out after their time is done here, they'll be sent to somewhere else to work till death. They killed 100 men to protect this secret. Cassian wastes no time and tries to get Kino on board with his plan. He figured out the security will be more strict tomorrow onwards. But Kino is still afraid. He reminds Cassian they killed 100 men at once. They're too powerful. Cassian replies, power doesn't panic. Killing everyone on level 2 was a panic move. They're afraid of 5,000 prisoners finding out the truth. But Kino is still not free of his fears. Fear of what? Death? Defeat? Cassian then tells, I'd rather die trying to take them down than die giving them what they want. This is the sentiment that drives the entire rebel force to sacrifice for a sunrise they'll never see. This is what drove Kino to leading the prisoners to their freedom, knowing all too well he can't swim out of here. Next morning, these 50 men prepare for an insurrection. There's only one way out. At first, I thought Cassian cleverly took the minimum risk. He told others to go forward and distract the guards so Cassian can sneak in. But no, he took the first major step. He takes his time to properly open the pipe, gets out half a second ago. If anyone here took their mundane jobs seriously, they'd notice this one guy is suspiciously all wet. Cassian could be killed before everyone else. After they take control at the top, Cassian urges Kino to talk to the prisoners. Kino knows this place and prisoners better than Cassian does, and it's Kino they're more likely to listen to. A downgrade version of this might have the main character to do and excel at everything, instead of the more experienced side character. But here Cassian recognizes what Kino is capable of. He inspires Kino to give his all, cause Cassian doesn't wanna send an update of the situation. He wants the prisoners to rile up. And when he hears Kino utter Cassian's own words, he feels like he won. He tells Melshi, whatever happens, we made it. Wait, this means if they get caught, shot, drowned, Cassian will still be satisfied pulling off a successful rebellion? That's a rebel talking. That's it. Job done. Cassian can now leave. But he doesn't. He waits for Kino. That's also unlike Cassian. He's always been the sole survivor or one of the few to survive because he doesn't stick around. He left everyone in Ferrix. He left the rebel team. He ran alone out of Mimban. But now he wants to wait, and he would have waited longer to try to save Kino if he wasn't forced down the cliff. He keeps telling Melshi the ship hovering over them is leaving because he doesn't want Melshi to lose his hope. He knows Marva would be proud at him now, and he takes the risk to let her know that. But unfortunately, while he was rotting in the prison, Marva stopped taking her meds, probably to minimize Dedra's chances to use her to get to Cassian, and she passed away. Cassian hid his tears and tells Melshi everything is fine. We see Cassian by the horizon. This mirrors his last moment in Scarif. Maybe it's an indicator that he's ready to sacrifice himself for a greater cause. He became the soldier Nemik wanted to inspire him to be. He has become the rebel Marva dreamed of, who will sneak through the tunnels and take the Empire by surprise. Back in Ferrix, he reunites with his friends, gives Brasso the tightest hug, and starts confessing his guilt over leaving Marva. Marva knew he would do that, so she made sure Brasso will tell him otherwise. Tell him he was the first spark of fire, and he'll one day be an unstoppable force. Maybe she was questioned about Aldani, and she could put it together what Cassian did, or maybe not. Either way, she loves him more than anything he can do wrong. Brasso tells him to take care of himself, something that Cassian did most of his life. But Cassian lets him know he's past taking care of his own self, leaving his friends behind. While the Imperials are waiting for him in the funeral, Cassian uses this as a diversion. He takes in the funeral music for a second and keeps moving forward. Dedra was a little too late to catch him as he left through the tunnel into the hotel. He takes one look at Marva's hologram. He keeps listening to her and keeps moving forward. He was ahead of Dedra, ahead of Luton. He was the unstoppable force Marva saw him as. But Marva's speech crossed the limit, and an Imperial guard throws off B2. This prompted everyone to fight. Marva already inspired Ferrix to fight. Blasters, bombs, bricks starts flying off. Stormtrooper starts hitting the target. People start dying, and in midst of all of this, Cassian remains calm. He takes hold of Biggs with one hand, Blaster on the other, and simply walks out. He leaves his friends on B2's watch and goes to meet one last person. Cassian knows Luthen is here to kill him, to tie loose ends. But Cassian legitimizes Luthen's concerns and lets him choose whether to kill Cassian or recruit him. That's all Luther needed to hear to know this guy is ready to die for the rebellion. What an arc! We saw how difficult it was for an ordinary guy like Cassian to join the rebellion. He literally needed 3 smaller arcs to get where he is now. He was saved by a rebel. He didn't join the rebellion. He won a huge fight against the Empire. He chose not to fight anymore. His mother committed herself to the rebellion. He didn't stay. It took someone like Luthen to force the Empire to react so radically for Cassian to feel their chokehold he can't get out of. It's then when we see a rebel in him. From this description, it kinda seems that just like in Rogue One, Cassian here doesn't experience an inner change. What if he still values his own personal freedom over everything else? As he can't get that, he takes the second best route. He always had the rebellious nature in him, which he kept contained to protect his personal freedom. As he has no freedom, he might as well join the rebellion. If that's the case, if he actually finds a way out where the Imperials can't get him, how would we know he won't leave the rebellion behind? There's one scene that indicates to me that he's not the same person anymore. Cassian stands by his father's brick, attempts to clean off some of the dust. He remembers one day his father was showing Cassian how valuable some of the thrown away items can be. All they have to do is clean it off. People don't see the value because they don't look past the rust. This rust is now the fear of the Empire that has spread all over the galaxy. The Imperials don't look past the rust to see the value in anyone like Cassian. He too didn't look past this rust all his life. But now Cassian has cleansed himself and transformed. This memory brings tears in his eyes and also a smile on his face. He's much happier now than he was when he was spending money in Niamos. He's proud as he knows his parents would be proud at him. Any door to a personal freedom can't bring the inner peace he has found now. I made the mistake in my past measuring heroism based on what someone achieved over what he sacrificed. Cassian died assisting a quest that might push the rebellion line forward. After sending the files, Cassian asks Jin, "Do you think anyone is listening?" They have no idea if any of it would be useful. They can only hope. And that's enough for people like Cassian to sacrifice everything. Agree? Disagree? Let me know. Like if you like, share if you like, subscribe if you like.